What if I told you there was a secret to a better memory? Not a new app? Not a complicated new supplement from a lab? No, this secret is something different. It's a method that's been hiding in plain sight for centuries. It comes from the quiet temples of Japan. It comes from the bustling streets of Japan. This is a brain hack so old, so deeply woven into a culture. It has become almost invisible. Yet it holds the power to sharpen your mind. It can boost your recall. It can change the way you learn and remember. It's a timeless technique that doesn't require expensive gadgets. It doesn't require drastic lifestyle changes. It just requires a little bit of your attention. It requires a willingness to try something ancient. Imagine this for a moment. Picture a serene Japanese garden, the gentle trickle of a bamboo water fountain, a shishi-odoshi. The air is clean and crisp. Now, contrast that with the world you and I live in every day. Our phones are buzzing with notifications. Our calendars are packed with meetings. We are constantly flooded with information. It feels impossible to keep track of it all. What if the key to navigating this modern chaos wasn't to speed up, but to slow down? What if the answer wasn't in more technology? What if it was a simple, elegant practice from the past? A practice that could help you cut through the noise. This isn't just a fantasy. This is a real possibility. The practice we're about to explore is a genuine Japanese method for enhancing cognitive function. It's a system passed down through generations. People have used it to memorize epic poems. People have used it to memorize complex teachings. People have used it to memorize details of daily life. It's built on the very foundations of how our brains are designed to work. It's not about magic. It's about aligning with our natural ability to remember. We've simply forgotten how to use it in our busy, distracted world. Today, we're going to remember. In this video, I'm going to pull back the curtain on this powerful, yet simple brain hack. I'll share the story of its origins. I'll give you practical, step-by-step instructions to make it part of your life. And I'll explain the gentle science behind why it works. You won't just learn about it. You'll have a chance to practice it right here with me. Are you ready to unlock a part of your mind you never knew existed? Are you ready to discover a timeless secret that could upgrade your memory for good? Let's begin this journey together. So, what can you expect from our time together? In a world saturated with information, where we are constantly asked to learn more, faster, how do we make knowledge truly our own? How do we move beyond simply consuming information to deeply understanding and retaining it? I've structured this video to be a clear and easy-to-follow guide, a journey we'll take together. My goal is to answer those questions not with fleeting tricks, but with a timeless, proven method. We're not just going to talk about abstract theories. So often we're told to learn, but rarely are we taught to learn. We're handed books, but not the key to unlock them. Today, we're changing that. We're going to give you a complete toolkit. Each tool is simple, practical, and designed to work with the natural architecture of your mind, not against it. To truly grasp these tools, we must first travel back in time. I'll tell you the story of how this practice came to be, because its origins are woven into its very function. We'll meet the people who first developed it, monks in quiet mountain monasteries, whose entire lives were dedicated to the preservation and deep understanding of sacred wisdom. We'll see how it was refined by teachers in ancient schools, who needed a way to pass on complex traditions to the next generation. You'll understand the cultural context that gave birth to this powerful method, a culture that valued mindfulness, discipline, and the integration of mind, body, and spirit. This isn't just a history lesson. It's the foundation for understanding why this technique endures. It's the root system that gives the flower its strength. Our story begins not in a modern laboratory or a university lecture hall, but centuries ago, nestled deep within the mist-covered mountains of Japan. Here, in a small, secluded monastery, lived a community of monks dedicated to a life of discipline, contemplation, and the stewardship of knowledge. Among them was a young, earnest monk named Kato. He was tasked with a monumental challenge: to commit to memory the monastery's entire library of sacred texts. These weren't just books. They were the living heart of the community's spiritual lineage. Sacred texts, intricate poems, profound philosophical teachings. The scrolls were vast, the characters intricate, the doctrines profound. Early on, Kaido struggled immensely. He would spend hours poring over the delicate pages, his eyes tracing the complex characters until they blurred. Yet, he found the words slipping away like water through his fingers. His frustration grew with each passing day, a heavy weight in the quiet halls of the temple. The silence of the library, meant to be peaceful, seemed only to amplify the loud noise of his own failure. Yet, Kaido noticed that the elder monks did not seem to share his struggle. During morning chants, they could recite lengthy, complex passages with flawless accuracy, and more importantly, with profound understanding. Their voices were calm, their minds clearly at ease. He watched them closely, searching for their secret. He saw that their lives were not just about silent meditation or reading. Their days were filled with a unique rhythm of mindful physical work, sweeping the temple floors, tending the vegetable garden, walking the forested paths. One day, his frustration overriding his shyness, Kaido approached the oldest monk, the monastery's abbot, a man whose eyes held the wisdom of 100 winters. "Master," he began, his voice barely a whisper, "how do you hold so much knowledge in your mind? The teachings flow from you like a river. My own memory is a leaky vessel." The old monk smiled gently, a smile that reached his eyes. He did not give Kaido a complex philosophical answer or another scroll to study. Instead, he handed him a simple wooden rake and led him to the monastery's Karasansui, the dry landscape garden. "The mind is not a vessel to be filled," the master said, his voice as calm as the still stones in the garden. "It is a garden to be cultivated. Your memory fails you because your mind is agitated, distracted. You are trying to force the seeds of knowledge into untilled, hardened soil. First, you must prepare the ground." Following the master's instruction, Kaido began to work in the garden each morning before his studies. He was taught to rake the fine gravel into patterns representing water, coordinating his every pull of the rake with his breath, inhaling as he drew it back, exhaling as he pushed it forward. This simple, repetitive, physical act calmed the frantic buzzing in his mind. It anchored him in the present moment. It forced him to slow down, to be present, to find a state of relaxed focus he hadn't felt in months. This was the first crucial step, preparing the mind, creating a receptive state, a fertile ground for learning. After weeks of cultivating the garden, Kaido's mind was noticeably calmer, his focus sharper. The old master saw the change in him, a new stillness in his posture, a clarity in his eyes, and decided it was time for the next lesson. He led Kaido back to the library, but instead of just telling him to read the scrolls, the master showed him a new way to engage with them. He taught Kaido to read the texts aloud, not in a monotone drone, but with a specific internal rhythm. "Feel your heart," the master instructed. "Let each phrase you speak align with its steady beat." The master explained that the brain loves rhythm. It is the fundamental organizing principle of music, poetry, and even our own bodies. Just as a song's melody can get stuck in your head for days, information paired with a consistent rhythm becomes far more memorable. It gives the mind a predictable structure to latch onto. Kaido began to practice. He would find a quiet corner of the temple, place a hand over his heart to feel its steady, reassuring beat, and begin to recite the texts. He broke long, complex sentences into shorter, rhythmic phrases, like verses in a poem. Next, the master introduced movement. "Do not sit like a stone," he said. "Knowledge should live in the body, not just the head." He taught Kaido to walk while reciting his rhythmic phrases. Kaido paced the long, polished wooden corridors of the monastery, his steps falling into a steady rhythm that matched his chanting. This practice, known as kinhin, or walking meditation, was already a part of temple life, but now Kaido understood its deeper purpose for learning. Walking engaged another part of his brain, creating a stronger, multi-sensory memory trace. The information was no longer just abstract characters on a page. It was linked to the sound of his voice, the feeling of his heartbeat, the rhythm of his steps, and the specific location of the corridor. Finally, the master taught him the art of imagery. "Words are pointers," he explained. "You must see what they point to." As he recited a phrase, Kaito was instructed to create vivid mental pictures. For a line about a river flowing to the sea, he was to visualize the water, hear its sound, feel the cool mist on his skin. For a complex philosophical concept like impermanence, the master told him to create a simple, powerful symbol. A cherry blossom petal falling from a branch. Beautiful, but fleeting. This crucial step linked abstract words to concrete, sensory experience. The combination was potent: a prepared, focused mind, a steady internal rhythm, deliberate physical movement, and powerful self-created imagery. It was a holistic system that engaged his entire being. The words began to stick. The teachings began to unfold, revealing layers of meaning he had never seen before. Kaito's leaky vessel was finally being sealed, not by force, but by cultivation. Kaito's ability to memorize and recall the sacred texts grew exponentially. The words were no longer just symbols on a page. They were living concepts, woven into the very fabric of his being. He was no longer just memorizing, he was deeply understanding the material, connecting disparate philosophies into a cohesive whole. Word of his incredible memory, and the unique method that powered it, began to spread beyond the monastery walls, carried on the winds like a whispered legend. Traveling scholars, seeking to expand their own knowledge. Poets, wrestling with epic verses. Teachers, desperate for new ways to reach their students. They journeyed to the mountain, asking Kaito and the elders to share their secret. The monks, believing that wisdom, like a lantern, is meant to illuminate the path for all, openly taught their method. They saw it not as a secret to be hoarded, but as a gift to be given freely. They explained the importance of preparation, of calming the mind to make it a fertile ground for knowledge. They demonstrated the power of rhythm, how a steady beat could organize thoughts. They taught the necessity of movement, using the body to map out information. And they revealed the magic of imagery, turning abstract ideas into unforgettable pictures. The practice soon found its way down from the secluded mountains, flowing like a river into the bustling towns and cities of Japan. It adapted, shape-shifting to fit the needs of a society in motion. Teachers in small schools began to adopt the techniques. They had children pace around the classroom while reciting poems, their small steps keeping a steady beat that helped embed the verses in their minds. Learning became an active, full-body experience, not a passive one. They taught them to draw simple pictures to remember historical events, transforming dry dates and names into vivid stories. They taught them to draw pictures to remember complex characters, associating each stroke with a specific trait or meaning, making the abstract tangible. Storytellers, the keepers of culture, discovered the power of this technique. Actors discovered it too. To memorize epic tales and long, complex plays, they would walk the length of a stage or a room. Each step, each turn, each gesture became a physical anchor, a hook upon which a line or a scene could be hung. The performance was not just spoken, it was embodied. Over generations, the practice became woven into the cultural fabric of daily life. It was never given a formal, singular name. It was simply the way things were learned, an intuitive process for mastering a craft, remembering a story, or even just organizing the day's tasks. It was a timeless brain hack passed down not through textbooks or formal instruction, but through shared experience and living tradition, a current of wisdom flowing silently beneath the surface of everyday life. Fast forward to today. The world has changed. The quiet monasteries have been overshadowed by glittering skyscrapers, the gentle rhythm of footsteps replaced by the roar of bullet trains. Meet Kenji, a university student living in the hyper-modern, fast-paced world of Tokyo. And like many of us, Kenji was drowning in a relentless flood of information. He was studying for his final exams in law, a field notorious for its density and complexity. He spent countless hours highlighting, rereading, and making flashcards. But despite his efforts, the information just wasn't sticking. It felt like pouring water into a sieve. He felt anxious, exhausted, and was on the verge of burning out completely. One weekend, seeking an escape from the crushing pressure, Kenji took a train to visit his grandfather in a small, quiet town nestled in the countryside. He needed to breathe air that wasn't thick with stress. He confessed his struggles, explaining how he felt his brain was failing him, that he simply wasn't smart enough. His grandfather, a man who had seen many seasons of life, listened patiently. He didn't offer platitudes or simple encouragement. Instead, he told Kenji the story of the monks in the mountains. Skeptical but desperate, Kenji decided to give it a try. What did he have to lose? The next morning, his grandfather didn't let him open a single textbook. Instead, he took him for a slow, mindful walk around the neighborhood, teaching him to sync his breath with his steps. Back at the house, his grandfather had him choose just one legal concept to memorize: the principle of good faith. He told Kenji to stand up and walk around the room while reading the definition aloud, not rushing, but letting the pace of his walking set the tempo for his speech. Then, he instructed him to create a simple, even silly, mental image for the concept. For a complex contract law, Kenji pictured two sumo wrestlers in business suits shaking hands, with the contract terms written on their belts. The image was so absurd, it was impossible to forget. To his astonishment, when his grandfather quizzed him an hour later, the information was right there, clear and accessible. He didn't have to search for it. It simply appeared, linked to the rhythm of his walk and the image of the sumo wrestlers. It was a small victory, but for Kenji, it felt like a miracle. In that quiet moment, surrounded by the wisdom of his grandfather and the peace of the countryside, he had just rediscovered a timeless secret. He hadn't needed a better brain. He had needed a better way to use it. The very first step of this ancient practice has nothing to do with memorizing. It has everything to do with preparation. Before we can plant a single seed of new information, we must first tend to the soil of our minds. In our modern world, our minds are often cluttered and chaotic, like a garden choked with weeds. We're constantly bombarded by notifications, juggling multiple tasks, and running a relentless inner monologue of to-do lists and worries. This state of chronic distraction puts our nervous system on high alert, making it nearly impossible for deep learning to occur. This initial step is about creating a state of calm, focused awareness. It's a simple ritual to signal to your brain that it's time to shift gears, moving from a reactive state to a receptive one. You are consciously creating a sanctuary for learning. Find a quiet space, sit comfortably. Don't try to force your mind to be empty. That's a battle you'll never win. Instead, simply observe your thoughts without judgment. Acknowledge them and then let them go. See them like clouds passing in the sky without getting swept up in their story. Now bring your focus to your breath. This is your anchor to the present moment. It's a physiological process that is always with you. When your mind inevitably wanders, as it will, gently and without frustration, guide it back to the simple sensation of the breath entering and leaving your body. Finally, set a clear intention for what you will learn. This isn't pressure, it's direction. By stating your goal, you're priming your brain's attention systems to notice and prioritize the information you're about to engage with. This 5-minute ritual of mindfulness and intention transforms the chaos into a prepared, fertile garden, ready to receive new knowledge and help it grow strong and deep. Once your mind is prepared, we begin the encoding process. But we're not going to do it by silently reading. We are going to use the power of rhythm. Our brains are fundamentally rhythmic, wired to recognize and remember patterns. Information that is paired with a rhythm becomes sticky, memorable, and easier to recall. To make this even more powerful, synchronize the rhythm with a physical sensation. This engages more of your brain. Place a hand on your chest and feel the steady thump-thump of your heart. Recite the information in time with that internal, primal beat. The next step is to give it a location. Our spatial memory is one of the most ancient and highly developed systems in our brain. This technique is like building a memory palace, but instead of just visualizing a place, you are physically moving through it. As you walk a simple, repeatable path in your room, you are going to assign specific pieces of information to specific points along that path. The first item on your list gets linked to the doorway. The second item gets linked to a lamp you pass. The third is associated with the corner of the room. When you want to recall the list, you can simply mentally walk the path again, retrieving each piece of information from its location. You are using your brain's powerful built-in GPS system to navigate your knowledge. Our brains don't remember abstract data very well, but they remember stories. They remember images. The fourth step is to leverage this by transforming abstract information into a vivid mental picture. This is the principle of dual coding, pairing a word with an image. And don't be subtle. Make it absurd, make it exaggerated, make it emotional. The stranger the image, the more it will stand out. Now link that unforgettable image to a specific spot on your memory walk. Stand in the corner of your room, the location for your third piece of information, and bring the scene to mind. Feel the connection between the physical space and the mental image. The final step is to ensure this information stays accessible for the long term. Memory is like a path forged through a forest. The first time you learn something, you create a faint trail. If you never visit that trail again, it will quickly become overgrown and disappear. This is where the principle of spaced repetition comes in. Instead of cramming, you strategically test your recall at specific, increasing intervals. An ideal schedule might be to review 1 hour after learning, then 1 day later, then 3 days later, and so on. This is far more effective than 10 reviews in a single day. Each time you successfully retrieve a piece of information, you are sending a powerful signal to your hippocampus, the brain's memory manager, saying, "This one, this is important. Replay this tonight." During sleep, your brain consolidates these tagged memories. This process of active, spaced recall is what moves facts from fragile short-term memory into the durable, long-term storage of your neocortex. Preparation, rhythm, location, imagery, and repetition. It's a timeless brain hack, a beautiful convergence where ancient wisdom and modern science speak the exact same language. Now, I want to bring this directly to you. I'm going to give you a simple exercise so you can feel the power of this method for yourself right now. We are going to memorize the first 5 planets of our solar system in order: Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter. Image: picture a thermometer with little legs, running a race. Imagine the Venus de Milo holding a giant, glowing heart. Picture our blue and green planet with a little house on top. Picture the Roman god of war angrily stomping. Picture a huge, oversized basketball with stripes. Now, I want you to pause this video. Walk your 5-step path 3 times. At each spot, say your chant and vividly see your image. Welcome back. Now, without looking, can you name the first 5 planets? I bet you got it. Leave a comment below and tell me if it worked for you. This is the practice. Simple, powerful, and now, it's yours to use. We began this journey with a simple question. What if an ancient Japanese practice could upgrade your memory? Prepare the mind like a garden. Give information a rhythm. Give it a home with a physical path. Give it life with a story, then a vibrant image. Walk that path again and again. Don't let this be just a video you watched. Make it part of your life, starting today. Pick one small thing to learn this week. A new phone number, a quote you love, the names of 3 new colleagues. If this helped, like the video so others can find it. Save it to revisit as you practice. Subscribe and turn on notifications for more brain deep dives. Leave a comment with the one thing you're going to memorize. Embrace this timeless path forward. Your mind will thank you for it.